It's worth mentioning that my parents apparently didn't know I wasn't attending the wedding. I was chilling at home, cuddling with my boyfriend when I suddenly received a text message from my parents asking where I was because they couldn't find me at the wedding party. I told them I wasn't attending the wedding and asked if my brother hadn't told them anything. They said no and asked me what happened. I didn't see any reason to lie, so I sent them a text message explaining exactly why. I have to admit, I don't know exactly what happened after I sent them this message because they read it but didn't reply. Why did they care in the first place? They didn't notice I wasn't there until the wedding was already over. They only noticed when the wedding party started. Apparently, my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden, my absence became the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, two sides formed, my parents and the rest of my family on one side, and my brother's wife's family on the other. My brother, now a husband, felt compelled to take his wife's side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home, living my best life with my boyfriend while all this drama unfolded at his wedding. The wedding party was ruined, and my brother showed up at my door, angrily screaming at me, asking why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened. He told me everything. I explained that it wasn't my intention to ruin anything, I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know and wanted to know where I was. I thought he had told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I ruined his wedding. I told him it wasn't my fault, he wasn't honest with them. I simply respected their wish not to attend the wedding. I couldn't have known it would turn out like this. Like I said, I've had to miss several events before because of my sexuality, and my parents never said anything about it, so I thought it would be the same here. However, I have to admit it's kind of sweet that my parents and the rest of my family stood up for me, they haven't done that before. It's a welcome change, but I still feel kind of bad because I apparently really ruined the wedding party. Update: after my brother's visit, he and his wife went on their honeymoon, and the situation at the wedding party might have been even worse than I imagined. When I mentioned that two sides had formed, I meant it metaphorically, but it's no longer that way. While nothing much interesting happened in the first 2 days afterward, the real turmoil started as soon as my brother and his wife went on their honeymoon. My mom and dad visited me and told me how the wedding party escalated. They were so close to physical violence. I thought it was funny at first, but it truly bothers me. I also want to point out that you did a great job at convincing me it's not my fault, but hearing my parents' side still gave me a bad feeling in my stomach. However, the terror started shortly after they went on their honeymoon. When I say terror, I mean that my sister-in-law's family found both my Facebook and Instagram accounts and started spamming me with hateful messages. I received insults and hateful messages from various different accounts, all with somewhat of a Christian theme and the same last name. It wasn't hard to figure out whose accounts they were, mainly because I don't know my sister-in-law's family at all. I only know her, and I know her parents were homophobic Christians. They not only started attacking me, but they also found my boyfriend's account because we're linked as a couple and started sending him the same messages. The messages contained typical bigoted statements like, "You're burning in hell for your sins." One even called me and my boyfriend two devils in disguise. The other side contained blatant insults, you get the idea. I called my parents and told them what was happening. Then I sent a text message to my brother with screenshots of the messages his wife's family sent me. He replied that I shouldn't disturb him with that during his honeymoon since I had already destroyed his wedding party. I couldn't believe it, he was just like them. He did send me an apology after my mom called him, but that's not the main reason I'm giving you this update so soon. This morning, I received a call from an unknown number. I hesitated because I thought it was one of them, and I was right, but it wasn't any of the people who insulted me. I heard a woman's voice who introduced herself as the half-sister of my brother's wife. She said it didn't go unnoticed what her family was doing and wanted to apologize for them. I told her I wasn't going to tell anyone in her family about this and that I didn't blame her for her family's actions. She thanked me and hung up. I don't know why, but I have this feeling she only did this to protect her family from being reported. My mother wrote to me earlier, saying she wants to report the insults and harassment and that she demands my brother divorce his wife or she will disinherit him from her will because that's not how she raised him. It's a bit over the top in my opinion, but I understand where she's coming from. This entire situation escalated so much, it's unbelievable. Update 2, it's been a few days. First of all, my boyfriend and I are fine, luckily, they didn't go any further than their text messages. My mom filed a report against them. I don't know the current situation about that as I haven't filed the report myself. The reason I'm updating you is different. One person in my sister-in-law's family is actually going to testify in my favor and against her family. It really takes courage to do so. It's the same person who called me in the last update. They somehow found out that she is into women. No reason to hide it anymore, but she said she's fine and will stay at a friend's house. I have so much respect for what she's doing. Imagine the strength you need to testify against your own family. I now feel bad for assuming she only called me to save her family from being reported. More importantly, what is the current situation with my brother? Well, my mom talked to him and told him to leave his wife or she would disinherit him from her will. He decided to stay with his wife, and my mom made her threat come true, he's no longer in her will. My father did the same. When I visited them, I also told them that I wish this entire situation had turned out differently. They assured me it's not my fault, but I feel like if it weren't for me, my family wouldn't be ripped apart like this. I haven't talked to my brother since then. My boyfriend feels similarly. He also told me he kind of feels responsible for all this chaos. I assured him it's not his fault, but honestly, I wasn't even sure if I could say that in my position.